Chris, do you have a favorite musical artist?
That's so tough. I mean, there's just so many out there, but if I had to guess one as of right now, it might be that guy, what's his name? Jason Derulo. He's all on the TikTok. Jason Derulo. And he sings and dances and do you know who I'm talking about? Jason Derulo.
Are you talking about Jason Derulo?
Jason Derulo. Yeah, Jason Derulo.
Well, I don't know much about music, but I do know that Jason Derulo has a great vodka.
Oh, yeah, Bedlam. That's his vodka.
Let's give it a shot right now.
Yeah.
That's good vodka.
Pardon the cough. It actually is very smooth.
No, you just have the Rona. That's fine. Today we're talking about the movie Meet the Parents.
Meet the Parents. You think that's CIA, man? They teach you that in the CIA.
Starring Jerry Stiller's son and that guy from The Irishman. A couple sequels. Meet the Fockers and Meet the Little Focker. I believe it's the third one. Never actually saw that movie. But this one, Meet the Parents, I think is thought of as the most cult classic of the three. Obviously, that's why the sequels came about. And people still like it to this day. But we're going to talk about if it really does hold up 20 years later.
Yeah, one of the great things for me is to be able to say that this movie set in Chicago. That's a little tidbit there, set in Chicago. Yeah. The very beginning of the movie is set in Chicago. The two live there.
Just the beginning, though.
Just the beginning part, yeah.
Travel,
they go to New York or something like that, somewhere on the East Coast, which really doesn't matter too much. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting movie, and I have a lot of problems with it, and I would say that right out of the gate, if you had to classify this movie, I would say it's a movie about red flags.
Red flags just in a relationship?
Just in general, like red flags all throughout this movie, because like you've got a red flag in the relationship between Ben Stiller and Teri Polo. You've got relationships with red flags with Robert De Niro and his daughter, and I mean, it's just red flags, like all throughout the movie, just red flags.
Well, the biggest thing that, as I've gotten older and rewatched this movie, that has thrown me off is this idea that Ben Stiller never thought to meet her parents before he was proposing. So in the beginning of the movie, he is about to propose, and then the plan goes haywire, and he doesn't, and then he ends up having to come up with a plan to ask her father, which is the traditional thing to do. But it's the first time he's met Robert De Niro. He hasn't met her parents at all, and this is like the big move that he's going to ask to marry their daughter. Like, what if that goes terribly? Which it does. Spoiler alert. All the comedy comes from that.
Well, let me just stop and jump in real quick, because before we even get to the fact that whether or not that's weird, I'm just going to ask, don't you think it was a little bit weird and creepy that he got all of these kids to hold up the signs and everything like that without, first off, Teri Polo knowing, or maybe the parents knowing? Like the parents of the children, like, did they know? Like, how did he coordinate this? Because kids that age, it's like herding cats. You just can't. And for whatever reason, he got them to actually do it like pretty well, other than the one kid who fucked up and put the letter in the wrong place.
Right.
But like, seriously?
That's a good point. That's kind of an inappropriate.
I think it was like foreshadowing all of the creepiness that was going to come from the rest of this movie.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, because I mean, he's not the teacher. Like, he's not the one.
Just real weird. Random nurse comes to the school and says, "Hey kids, like, I'm gonna give you cookies or candy if you hold up a sign in the window." It's just real weird. But getting back to your point, it's possible though that, as we learn from Meet the Fockers, that his parents are kind of a little bit hippie-ish. Mm-hmm. And so like maybe they're from the school of thought that it's not necessarily the parents' place to give away a daughter and just, give approval for a daughter to get married. And so like maybe that's it. And he comes from that school of thought, and then that's, that's where that comes from.
It could be. I understand that too, but also it's such an important thing to meet the family, I think, of the person that you're dating or going to marry, if you're in a serious relationship, meeting their family is a significant thing. So I'd assume that I don't remember if they say in the movie how long they've been dating, but it's probably been a year.
It has to be.
Granted, her family lives in a different state. It just seems like something that would have come up at some point.
You'd think, but I mean, again, this movie is all about red flags, right?
Yes.
So, I don't know. And like, I feel like this is like the start of, it's not the only one and it's not the like pinnacle of it, but like this is a cringe movie.
It is very
You watch
cringy.
this movie and you just cringe the entire time. Like, it's awful.
It's like a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode without a lot of the humor. Like, it's just it's bare. Every single scene is cringy. There's like a lot of this like standalone, like a lot of the things in this movie, if you separated the scenes, could be like comedy shorts almost, like the volleyball scene. Super cringy. That could be its own kind of humorous little 4-minute video. Like, there are so many different things that are just like joke after joke after joke, but they're all so cringy. It is very uncomfortable to watch.
And I think it's also uncomfortable to watch too, because I get the feeling, and I don't know if you feel this way, but like, or if you feel this way, Ben Stiller seems like an asshole.
You guys look at me as one of the world's most successful comedy actors.
I don't know if that's his reputation that he has, but I've kind of always just assumed he's a dick.
Yeah, both. I mean, but like, I feel like he's kind of like playing himself in this movie.
Could be.
Like,
maybe that's why he played so well.
Where he's a liar. He's a pathological liar, but he's also just like an asshole, and like he's trying to get the parents to like listen, I empathize with the character in trying to get your future fiance's family to like you, right? Like, you want to do anything you can to get them to like you, and even though they don't want to like you, but just as like, I don't know, he seems like an asshole, and I think it fits.
And that's the weird thing is, I think Robert De Niro is supposed to be like the villain or like the foil to like, he's making everything for Ben Stiller, who's the protagonist we're supposed to be rooting for. He's making his life difficult, but really everything that happens in the movie is Ben Stiller's own fault for the most part.
For sure.
Besides the suitcase getting lost, but like that happens.
Well, so like jumping ahead, the one thing that stands out to me is like he is confronted about the cat, right?
This is the most preposterous.
So first off, why does Robert De Niro smell the tail of the cat?
You spray painted his tail to make him look like Jinxie, didn't you, fucker?
Yeah.
Right? Like, first off, it's been like an entire day. If there's spray paint on there, you're not smelling the spray paint. So like, why is he smelling the tail? But then even when he does and confronts him and is like, did you spray paint this tail? Ben Stiller's a liar. Like, he's been lying through this entire movie. So why does he not just be like, look, I went to the pound and they had this cat and they said it was
it's an
the
easy
cat.
out. They said
like,
this is it. Yeah.
They said this was it. Like, I thought this was the cat and I tried to bring the cat home to be helpful.
But
right?
also, spray painting the tail of the cat is a sociopath move.
Oh, for sure.
That's just insane.
For sure. But I mean, he's shown himself to be insane throughout the entirety of the movie.
So I'm not really rooting for him either.
Yeah, but like,
and lying about being on a farm, growing up on a farm in Detroit and milking.
Honey, he said he pumped milk.
What have you ever milked?
Cat?
That is why you digging that hole for yourself.
Right. Yeah. Again, I understand because he's trying to like make the father like him. And I get that. Like, I mean, you have somebody who's going to be in your life for a long time, presumably. So you want them to like you. And so like, yeah, you may tell a little white lie here and there. Like, I get it. I understand. But yet, at the same time, like, why would you say that? Why would you even like make up something stupid like that?
He's just digging himself a hole over and over. I think this movie is really well regarded 20 years later, and people like it. But every time I've seen it since, his character flaws jump out more. So I'm wondering if it's like a generational like passage of time thing where a lot of his behavior becomes outdated, or if it's just like he's a poorly written character and for some reason we didn't see it.
I mean, it might be both, because you want to talk about poorly written characters, right? Robert De Niro has to be the single worst spy in the history of the CIA, because he goes to the sundry place, right? Mm-hmm. And like, he doesn't think, he's a CIA agent, right? He doesn't think to scope out if there's any Collins mix, because this guy who might be his son-in-law is going in there to buy a whole bunch of stuff and won't see that there's no Collins mix there. Like, you don't think that through, right? And there's other things throughout this entire movie where you're like, this dude sucks as a spy.
Maybe it was a forced retirement.
Well, I mean, look, if the spies and the CIA are as bad as Robert De Niro, we're in fucking trouble. Like, this is serious business here.
They should make a spin-off movie, Meet the Spy, or like Meet the Agent with Robert De Niro. It's a prequel to Meet the Parents, where he's a spy.
I mean, yeah. And actually, you bring up a good point about forced retirement, because the wife does make a mention about, like, when he was forced to retire for health reasons or whatever.
I mean, he
he's
was
like,
forced to retire because he sucked at his job.
Yeah, he was fucking terrible at his job. Like, the worst spy. And the fact that, like, I don't know. I mean, like, that bothered me. Like, as I was watching this again, like, I own the movie because when it came out, like,
everyone loved it.
It was a very enjoyable, even though cringy movie. But like, I'm like watching it again through a different lens, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
People liked cringe. Like that was like defining comedies for a while. It's like if it's cringy, like that's what people liked.
Now, can I just bring up another point about, we talk about Ben Stiller's character and his lies. Can we also talk about Teri Polo's character and her lies?
Sure.
Because you're dating somebody presumably for a year, right? At least. And even if not for a year, like, even think, like, I've never gone out on, like, a Tinder date. But if I've gone out on a Tinder date, right, and you're trying to get to know somebody, they're telling you interesting things about themselves and trying to be a little honest and not try to scare somebody away. But, like, in the first couple of dates, you're probably going to tell somebody, hey, I was engaged.
It should come up, yeah.
Right?
That's a pretty
she has
thing.
never said that she's engaged to Owen Wilson and was engaged for a significant period of time to Owen Wilson. And, like, that's a problem.
That's a gigantic red flag. If I was dating somebody for a year and then they told me that they had been previously engaged, like, I wouldn't care if they had been upfront about it. They had been engaged. That would also kind of be possibly a red flag if they were previously engaged, depending on the circumstances.
Sure.
It could be a red flag. But if you didn't tell me for a year, that's a deal breaker. We're done. That's it.
I mean, again, like, we talk about this whole movie being about red flags, right? And, like, you've got that red flag. And then when your future father-in-law or whatever pulls you in to, like, give you a polygraph test, that's not a red flag? Like, dude, run out of that. Like, just get out of there.
The movie probably should have ended with them breaking up.
I mean, that would probably have made the most sense, for sure. But, and another takeaway that I had from the movie, and this one might be a little controversial, but I stand by it 100%. Cat people, they can be assholes, just like cats.
I think it's a stereotype that they're at the very least weird.
Right?
Yeah, no. Cat people are obsessed with their cats. And dog people are too. I'm not an animal person at all. I just, like, I get why people, like, I get the benefits of coming out with it, but, like, there's almost a stereotype now of, like, dog moms, kind of similar to cat moms and cat dads, where you're just, like, everything's about the dog. You have pillows of your dog. Like, you have coasters of your dog, everything's your dog. You call your dog your son, like, all this crazy shit that is another red flag, quite honestly. And Robert De Niro is that.
Yeah. I understand it because, like, look, when I first got married.
I know you have a dog.
And I have a dog, and I'm a dog person.
Yeah,
I like dogs.
but you're not insane.
But, like, I'm not crazy dog person, right? But, like, when I first got married and we got a dog. And it was like, everything was about the dog, right? Because, like, that's just what it is. But then, like, honestly, when the kids started coming around, like, dog is still important. It's not like I'm, like, kicking the dog out or anything like that. But, like,
kids are kind of more
the kids become, like, the thing. And it's like, I understand because people are probably using the dog as, like, kind of a foil for, like, what kids are going to be. And so it's like, I understand it. But, no, I mean, it's just, you know.
I think for Robert De Niro's character, it was, like, because he's so tough and, like, former spy, and I'm tough on Ben Stiller and whoever my daughter's dating. It was like make him softer and kind of add that comedic tone of, like, he's all tough but he loves his cat kind of thing.
Yeah. Now, I do want to bring up, like, all throughout this movie, there's little things here and there where, like, from Ben Stiller's perspective, like, dude, just pack it in. Like, you fuck up with the cat. Fuck up with smashing the volleyball into the
so
future
cringy.
sister-in-law's nose. Like, you just keep fucking up. Dude, just pack it in. Just go home, be like, I'm done. Like, this is clearly not working. But also on the same token, for the sister who's getting married, like, pack it in. the universe is trying to tell you that you should not get married.
Like the shit in the backyard.
I wrote down here, if you're getting married and you get a ball to the face, and then shit is everywhere. Literal shit is everywhere. And then there's a blazing inferno that happens. Take it as a sign. The universe is trying to tell you, don't get married.
Delay your wedding. Yeah. No, put it off. Or just break off the engagement entirely.
And to the point about the shit as well, again, Robert De Niro being the worst fucking spy, he's about to have a wedding with a significant number of people at his house, and he hasn't emptied the septic tank.
Yeah.
Like, the cat or whoever flushes the toilet, and then the septic tank overflows because of that.
Here's another thing about that annoyed me, and him being a cat person. He doesn't believe Ben Stiller's answer that Jinx probably flushed the toilet. He's like, no, it was you, fucker. Like, that's kind of a dick move. I mean, it wasn't. But it's like, it's kind of a dick move to like tell your daughter's boyfriend, I don't believe you blaming the cat for this problem.
Yeah.
Everyone's unlikable. We're finding
sure.
this with a lot of the comedies we've done. Like, there's a lot of movies where just a lot of the characters are unlikable. I don't even know who I'm rooting for here. Maybe Owen Wilson.
I mean, maybe, but like even he's like
him like orbiting the family is inappropriate.
Yeah, and just as an aside, he actually got to ad-lib most of his lines in this movie.
Oh, really?
He just got to like do whatever he wanted.
That's funny.
So all the props to you, Owen Wilson. And then like again, talk about like the male nurse thing, right? The other thing that would definitely not have gone today is the name reveal. Where they Gaylord Fokker.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Like, and then they're bullying him and like being like, "Oh, your name's Gay Fokker." Oh, like that. Yeah, I mean that's talk about things that
which is interesting, just because like Meet the Fockers came out a few years later. Meet the Little Fokker came out after that. I think a joke like that still gets by the years those other movies came out, but it was becoming less of a like.
Yeah,
we're progressing a little bit, but because the first movie came out, you can still make that joke. Like 7 years later or whatever.
By the way, did you know that the name Fokker and Gaylord Fokker was actually from Jim Carrey? Jim Carrey was supposed to play the role of Ben Stiller.
Alrighty then.
I'm kind of glad he didn't.
And he didn't, and it would have been a different movie, right? But like he came up with the Gaylord Fokker thing, and so which fits, right? I mean, thinking about Jim Carrey's comedy, like that kind of fits, right? But yeah, so just again, like there's so much about this movie, though, that, again, in keeping with the name thing and the male nurse thing, the spy cam in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Like, that's creepy. And, like, all of the relationships that are going on in this movie, terribly toxic. Terribly toxic. And I just, I don't know. And some of the jokes, too, like the joke about the bomb on the airplane.
No, I said I didn't have a bomb.
You said bomb.
I said it's not like I have a bomb.
You said bomb on an airplane.
What's wrong with saying bomb on an airplane?
You can't say bomb on an airplane.
Bomb, 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 bomb. You gonna arrest me?
You assaulted an airline
employee. What if I was
employee?
in the
That's a
military and I was a
federal
bombardier?
offense. Right there,
Bomb,
I
bomb,
got
bomb,
enough
bomb,
to
bomb,
put you
bomb,
away
bomb,
for
bomb,
a few
bomb.
years.
This is 2000.
This is pre-9/11.
This is pre-9/11,
yeah.
right? So like you can make that joke, but like
that age
now you definitely cannot make that joke.
Well, 9/11 is long ago. I
mean, I still don't think you can make the joke, especially like just because you know that the TSA, like, if you said the word
you couldn't
bomb
do it.
the
You
first time,
couldn't physically do it.
I mean, even still, but like she said, like he gets away with being like bomb, 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 right? But like this first second he says bomb, whatever air marshal is on that plane is fucking tackling him, and like he doesn't get away with making that whole like bomb joke,
right?
So,
well, for me, I actually think this movie, if someone was watching it for the first time, or I was telling somebody younger than me, like 10 years younger, I don't think this holds up.
I gotta say, I don't think so either. I was on the fence. Like,
me too.
I think the idea of like meeting parents for the first time and going through this like cringy, like awkward stage, that holds up. That absolutely holds up.
But it would be done completely different.
Yeah, it would have to be done completely different. I don't think it holds up in the form that it is.
So I'm a thumbs down. We're going to get to a new segment, though, where instead of us assessing it, we want to guess what the general public has assessed it, where we guess the IMDb score of the movie. So do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
Why don't you go first? Yeah.
It's well liked. I'm going to go 7.1.
I think it's well liked, but I also think that it's not necessarily well done. So I'm going to go 6.3.
Meet the parents. No, just yell it.
Just yell it.
7 out of 10. 7 out of 10.
All right, well, there you have it. Meet the parents.
Stinker.
Not good.